The fluorescent lights of Florence's Amerigo Vespucci Airport blur through my tears as I stand frozen in Terminal A. My wedding dress a monument to everything that just shattered. White silk pools around my feet like spilled milk. The train I'd carefully bustled for travel now dragging across dirty linoleum. People stare. Of course they stare. A bride alone at an airport at 11 o'clock at night, mascara streaking down her face, clutching a boarding pass to New York with trembling fingers. I see him before he sees me. Dante Moretti moves through the crowd like a shark through water, his security detail flanking him, his charcoal suit somehow unwrinkled despite the late hour. He's on his phone, speaking in rapid Italian, his free hand gesturing with the controlled precision that marks everything he does. He doesn't belong in this public space with its fluorescent lights and tired travelers. He belongs in boardrooms and private clubs, in the shadows where power brokers make deals that never see daylight. He belongs anywhere but here, looking for a runaway bride. His eyes find mine across 50 feet of terminal, and the world stops. I watch his expression shift, surprise, then something that might be pain. Then the cold mask I've come to recognize slides into place. He says something into his phone, something sharp and final, and ends the call. For 3 heartbeats, we just stare at each other. Me in my ruined wedding dress, him in his perfect armor of wealth and control. Then he does the last thing I expect. He turns around and walks away. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. I should feel relieved. This is what I wanted, isn't it? Freedom, escape. A chance to return to my simple life before Dante Moretti consumed it with his dark eyes and dangerous promises. But as I watch his broad shoulders disappear into the crowd, something inside me cracks wider than it already has. He's letting me go. After everything, after 6 months of an arrangement that became something neither of us intended, after a wedding that felt more real than any ceremony should, after the words whispered in darkness that I thought meant something, he's just walking away. My legs move before my brain catches up. The heavy dress tangles around my ankles as I stumble forward, one hand hiking up layers of silk and tulle, the other still clutching my boarding pass. Wait, I call out, but my voice cracks, lost in the ambient noise of the terminal. He doesn't turn back. I push through the crowd, ignoring the stares, the whispered comments in Italian and English. A security guard starts toward me, probably thinking I'm having some kind of breakdown. He's not wrong, but I need to reach Dante. I need to understand why he came here just to leave again. Why he looked at me like I was breaking his heart when I'm the one standing alone in a wedding dress. Dante. This time my voice carries, sharp and desperate. He stops. His security detail stops with him, hands moving to weapons I know they carry but never see. For a moment, I think he won't turn around. That he'll just keep walking, leave me here with this ache in my chest and questions that will haunt me forever. But then his shoulders tense, and slowly, so slowly, he turns to face me. The distance between us feels like miles, even though it's only 20 feet. His expression is carefully blank, but his eyes, those dark eyes that see too much, betray him. There's anger there, yes, but underneath it is something raw and wounded that makes my breath catch. "Go home, Isabella," he says, his voice carrying across the space between us with quiet authority. "Get on your plane." "Why did you come here?" The words tumble out, desperate and confused. Why come all this way just to leave? Something flickers across his face, there and gone so quickly I might have imagined it. "Because I'm a fool who needed to see for himself that you meant it." His jaw clenches. "That you really would rather run than stay." "I'm not running from you," I say, and the truth of it surprises me even as I say it. "I'm running from what?" He cuts me off, taking 3 steps closer, his control slipping just enough for me to see the fury beneath. "From the life I could give you? From the protection? The comfort? Or is it the monster you're running from, Isabella? Because that's what I am, isn't it? What I'll always be in your eyes." 6 months ago, I would have agreed. 6 months ago, I knew exactly who Dante Moretti was. A criminal. A man whose hands were stained with blood and dirty money. A cage disguised as salvation. But now, standing in this airport with my wedding dress dragging on the floor and my heart in pieces, I'm not sure of anything anymore. Except that watching him walk away hurt worse than anything that came before. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday. I find it wedged in my apartment mailbox between an overdue electric bill and a credit card offer I'll never qualify for. Heavy cream cardstock. My name written in elegant script that speaks of money and old-world formality. Miss Isabella Romano. No return address. Inside my cramped studio apartment, I set it on the kitchen counter, a surface that doubles as my dining table and workspace, and stare at it while my coffee grows cold. Nothing good ever came in an envelope like that. Nothing good ever came to me at all. Not in the 3 years since Papa died and left me with nothing but his debts and the ruins of the restaurant he'd poured his life into. My phone buzzes. Mama's name flashes across the screen. "Did you get it?" she asks before I can even say hello. Her voice is tight with something I can't quite identify. Hope? Fear? Both? The envelope. I pick it up again, feeling its weight. Yes, but I haven't opened it. Open it, not a request. A command delivered in the same tone she used when I was 8 and refusing to eat my vegetables. My fingers shake slightly as I slide them under the flap, tearing the expensive paper. Inside is a single card with embossed lettering and a time, a date, an address in Rome's most exclusive district. Mr. Dante Moretti requests the honor of your presence for dinner. Friday, 8 p.m. Dress. Formal. Mama, I say slowly, my stomach dropping. What is this? She's quiet for so long I think the call has dropped. Then, it's a chance, Isabella. For all of us. A chance for what? Who is Dante Moretti? But even as I ask, a memory surfaces. Whispered conversations in the months before Papa died. A name spoken with equal parts fear and respect. Late-night visits from men in expensive suits. Papers signed with shaking hands. He's a businessman, Mama says. And the lie is so obvious it doesn't even qualify as one. He knew your father. There's an arrangement that can be made. One that would clear all the debts. My blood runs cold. What kind of arrangement? Just go to dinner, Isabella. Listen to what he has to say. It's already been agreed upon. What's been agreed upon? My voice rises, panic making it sharp. Mama, what did you do? But she's already gone. The call disconnected, leaving me alone with a dinner invitation that feels more like a summons, and the growing certainty that my life is about to change in ways I can't possibly imagine. I spend the next 3 days trying to find a way out. I consider not showing up, but Mama calls twice more with increasingly desperate pleas. I consider calling the police, but what would I even tell them? That I received a dinner invitation? I consider running. But to where? With what money? My bank account has 63 euros and 12 cents. My credit cards are maxed. My degree in art history has qualified me for exactly nothing except the part-time museum docent position that barely covers my rent. Friday arrives with cruel inevitability. I own one dress nice enough for whatever this is, black, simple, bought for Papa's funeral and worn to every formal occasion since. I pair it with the only heels that don't have scuffed toes and spend an hour on makeup, trying to hide the shadows under my eyes from 3 nights of anxious insomnia. The address leads me to a restaurant I've walked past 100 times but never entered. The kind of place where dinner costs more than my monthly rent, where doormen in pristine uniforms greet you by name, where the windows are frosted to keep the outside world from glimpsing the privilege within. Miss Romano, the maitre d' says before I can even speak, as if my arrival was expected and prepared for. This way, please. He leads me through the main dining room, all crystal and candlelight, and the low murmur of wealth to a private room in the back. The door is heavy wood, soundproofed, the kind that swings shut with ominous finality. Inside, a single table is set for 2. Candles flicker. Wine breathes in a crystal decanter. And at the head of the table, rising smoothly to his feet as I enter, is the most dangerous-looking man I've ever seen. Dante Moretti is nothing like I imagined and exactly what I feared. He's younger than I expected, mid-30s at most, with dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble by Michelangelo himself. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, full lips that would be almost beautiful if not for the hardness in them. But it's his eyes that pin me in place. Dark, assessing, intelligent in a way that makes me feel transparent, like he can see every fear and desperate thought racing through my mind. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than my yearly salary, charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes, fitted perfectly to his broad shoulders and lean frame. Everything about him screams power and control and danger. Miss Romano, he says, his voice like smoke, rich and dark. Thank you for coming. As if I had a choice. Please sit. He gestures to the chair across from him. Not beside him, I notice. Across, where he can watch me. I sit because my legs are shaking, and because refusing seems like a bad idea when dealing with a man who makes maitre d's nervous and warrants private dining rooms. The chair is more comfortable than anything I own, the kind of luxury I've only experienced in museums and other people's lives. Dante settles back into his seat with the fluid grace of a predator. He pours wine into both glasses without asking if I want any, then sits back and studies me with those unsettling dark eyes. "You know who I am," he says, not a question. "I know what people say you are." A smile touches his lips, but there's no warmth in it. "And what do people say?" I meet his gaze, finding courage in my anger at this situation, at being summoned like some kind of medieval serf. "That you're a criminal, that you run half the organized crime in Rome, that you're dangerous." All true. He sips his wine, unbothered by my bluntness. Though half is a modest estimate, the casual admission steals my breath. Most men in his position would deny it, dance around the truth with euphemisms and plausible deniability, but Dante Moretti simply owns it, wears his criminality like other men wear cologne. "Your father owed me a great deal of money, Isabella." He sets down his wineglass, the crystal catching the candlelight. "May I call you Isabella? You're going to, regardless of what I say." Another humorless smile. "True. Your father borrowed from me 5 years ago when his restaurant was failing. I gave him generous terms, more generous than I give most people." His eyes darken slightly. "Because he was a good man who'd fallen on hard times through no fault of his own. Because he had a daughter he loved more than his own life." My throat tightens at the mention of Papa, at the proof that this man knew him, spoke with him, was part of his life in ways I never understood. He was supposed to repay me over 10 years. He managed 3 before the cancer took him. Dante's expression doesn't change, but something in his voice softens almost imperceptibly. "He died owing me 750,000 euros. The number hits me like a physical blow. I knew Papa had debts, knew he'd borrowed to keep the restaurant afloat. But this was impossible. "I don't have that kind of money," I whisper. "I'll never have that kind of money." "I know." Dante leans forward, elbows on the table, hands clasped. "Which is why I'm prepared to offer you an alternative arrangement. Here it comes. Whatever arrangement Mama has already agreed to on my behalf, whatever price has been set for my life. I need a wife," he says simply. Of all the things I expected, mistress, escort, some degrading proposal, this wasn't it. I stare at him, certain I've misheard. "A wife," I repeat stupidly. "For 2 years. A business arrangement, nothing more. You marry me, attend events at my side, live in my home, play the role of devoted spouse in public." He says it like he's outlining a contract for office space. "In exchange, your father's debt is cleared, your mother keeps her apartment, and you receive a settlement of 1 million euros when the arrangement ends." My mind reels, trying to process what he's offering. Marriage, 2 years of my life, in exchange for freedom from a debt I could never repay and more money than I've ever dreamed of having. Why? The question comes out hoarse. Why me? You could marry anyone. I need someone with no connections to my world. Someone who won't ask questions or make demands beyond our agreement. Someone who needs what I'm offering badly enough to agree to my terms. His eyes hold mine. And someone whose father I respected enough to honor his memory this way, rather than selling the debt to men who would make your mother's life very difficult. The implicit threat sends ice through my veins. Other collectors. Worse men than Dante Moretti. If such men exist, what exactly would this marriage entail? I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. "You would live in my home, attend social and business functions as my wife, maintain the appearance of a genuine marriage in public." He pauses. "What happens in private is negotiable. But I'm not interested in forcing unwilling women into my bed, Isabella. That's not part of the agreement unless you choose otherwise." The clinical way he discusses it should be reassuring, but something about his phrasing, "unless you choose otherwise," sends an unexpected shiver down my spine. 2 years, I say slowly. "And then what?" "Then we divorce quietly. You're free to go wherever you want, do whatever you want, with enough money to build any life you choose." He picks up his wineglass again. "Or you can walk out of this restaurant tonight, and I'll find other ways to collect what your father owed me." The choice isn't really a choice at all. It's an illusion of agency wrapped around an ultimatum. Agree to marry him or watch Mama suffer the consequences of Papa's debts. "I need time to think," I say. "You have until dessert arrives." He glances at his watch. "Approximately 20 minutes. 20 minutes is both an eternity and no time at all." I sit across from Dante Moretti, picking at food I can't taste, while my mind races through impossible calculations. 2 years of my life, marriage to a criminal, but also freedom from debt, security for Mama, and enough money to finally pursue the dreams I'd buried when Papa died. The waiter appears with dessert, something chocolate and elaborate that I'm sure costs more than my weekly grocery budget. Dante waves it away before it can be placed on the table. Your answer, Isabella. I set down my fork with hands that have finally stopped shaking. Fear has given way to something else. Not acceptance exactly, but a grim understanding that this is the best offer I'll ever receive. The only offer. I have conditions, I hear myself say. One dark eyebrow rises slightly. Do you? My mother never knows the real reason for this marriage. As far as she's concerned, we fell in love. The lie tastes bitter, but Mama has suffered enough. She doesn't need to know I'm selling myself to save her. And I want the debt forgiveness in writing before the wedding. Anything else? There's something that might be respect in his eyes now. I keep my museum job, and my apartment, at least for the first month. I need time to, I search for the right word, transition. Dante leans back in his chair, studying me with that unnerving intensity. The job is fine, though you'll quit within 3 months regardless. You won't have time for it once you're fully established in your role as my wife. He pauses. The apartment is non-negotiable. You'll move into my home immediately after the wedding, but I'll give you 2 weeks to prepare. 1 month, I counter, surprising myself. 3 weeks, final offer. It's not enough time to prepare for having my entire life uprooted, but it's something. A small victory that probably means nothing to him but feels important to me. Then I agree, I say, the words sealing my fate. Dante reaches into his jacket and withdraws a slim folder, placing it on the table between us. The contract. Read it carefully. My lawyers will need it signed by Monday. I stare at the folder, this document that will govern the next 2 years of my life. You were very confident I'd say yes. I'm always confident, Isabella. It's how I've stayed alive this long. He stands, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced ease. A car will pick you up Monday at noon to take you to my lawyer's office. Afterward, we'll begin planning the wedding. The wedding, I repeat numbly. Of course there has to be a wedding. This arrangement needs to look real. 6 weeks from now. Small but elegant. My associates will expect nothing less. He moves around the table and, before I can react, takes my hand. His skin is warm, his grip firm, but not painful as he raises my knuckles to his lips. The gesture is old-fashioned, almost courtly, completely at odds with the criminal standing before me. Until Monday. Isabella, he murmurs against my skin, his breath warm. Then he's gone, leaving me alone in the private dining room with half-eaten food, untouched dessert, and a contract that will change everything. The next 3 weeks pass in a blur of surreal moments that don't quite feel like my life. I sign the contract in a law office so elegant it makes me feel like a peasant granted an audience with royalty. The lawyers, 3 of them, all impeccably dressed, walk me through page after page of dense legal language that basically says, marry Dante Moretti, behave appropriately, don't embarrass him, and receive financial compensation in exchange. There's a section on public behavior, a section on social media prohibited from posting about him or their arrangement, a section on infidelity allowed on his part, forbidden on mine, which makes my blood boil until I remind myself this is a business deal, not a real marriage, and a section on the end 2 years from the wedding date, a quiet divorce, a wire transfer of 1 million euros, and I never speak of any of this to anyone. I sign my name in 12 different places, initialing countless more. With each signature, I feel like I'm signing away pieces of myself. The wedding planning is handled by professionals who appear at my apartment with fabric swatches and flower samples and questions I have no answers to. I don't care about centerpieces or color schemes. I don't care that my dress is being custom made by some designer whose name I should apparently recognize. None of this is real, so why does it matter if the roses are cream or ivory? But I go through the motions because that's what I've agreed to do. Dante appears twice during those 3 weeks. Once to take me to dinner with his mother, a formidable woman with sharp eyes who sees too much, and once to bring me to his home so I can acclimate to the space before moving in. The house isn't a house. It's a villa on the outskirts of Rome. All honey-colored stone and terracotta tiles and gardens that probably require a staff of 10. My entire apartment could fit in the foyer. Your rooms are on the 2nd floor, Dante says, leading me up a curved staircase that belongs in a palace. East wing. You'll have privacy. Your rooms, not our rooms. The separation is clear and somehow both relieving and vaguely insulting. He shows me a bedroom suite larger than most apartments, a king bed with posts carved from dark wood, a sitting area with a fireplace, a bathroom with a tub deep enough to drown in, and a shower with 6 different heads. French doors open onto a private balcony overlooking the gardens. The closet has been stocked with appropriate clothing, he continues in that same business-like tone. My stylist took the liberty based on your measurements. If anything doesn't fit or suit your taste, let her know. I walk to the closet, which is actually a whole room, and find it filled with clothes that cost more than I've earned in my entire life. Designer labels I only know from magazine spreads. Dresses and suits and casual wear in a rainbow of colors, all perfectly organized. This is too much, I say quietly. It's necessary. You'll be attending events where appearance matters. He moves to stand beside me, his presence overwhelming in the confined space. My wife needs to look the part. His wife. In 2 weeks, that's what I'll be. The thought makes my stomach flip. I should go, I say abruptly, needing distance from him, from this overwhelming display of wealth, from the reality of what I've agreed to. I have work tomorrow. Something flickers in his eyes, disappointment maybe? But he nods. The driver will take you home. The wedding takes place on a Saturday in early October. The weather is perfect, as if even nature has been bullied into cooperation by Dante's will. Cloudless sky, gentle breeze, temperature warm enough for my sleeveless dress but cool enough that I don't sweat through it. The dress is a masterpiece I don't deserve. Ivory silk that clings to my body before flowing out into a cathedral train. Delicate lace at the bodice, off-the-shoulder sleeves that make me feel like a princess in a fairy tale. The kind of dress little girls dream about. The kind I would have wanted if this were real. Mama cries when she sees me, her hands fluttering around my face like nervous birds. Bella, my beautiful girl, your papa would be so proud. The guilt nearly chokes me. Papa would be horrified that I'm marrying a criminal to clear his debts. But Mama doesn't need to know that. So I smile and let her believe this is a love story. The ceremony is held in the villa's gardens, beneath an arch of white roses and ivy. 75 guests, a small wedding by the standards of Dante's world, apparently fill white chairs arranged in neat rows. I recognize none of them except Dante's mother, who sits in the front row wearing black as if attending a funeral. Maybe she is. I walk down the makeshift aisle alone. Mama offered to give me away, but I couldn't bear it, my hands clutching a bouquet of peonies so tightly my knuckles turn white. Eyes watch me from both sides, assessing, judging, wondering what the powerful Dante Moretti sees in this nobody from a failed restaurant family. And then I see him. Dante waits at the altar in a black tuxedo that makes him look even more dangerous than usual. His expression is unreadable as I approach, but his eyes, those dark, fathomless eyes, track my every movement with an intensity that steals my breath. When I reach him, he extends his hand. I take it, his skin warm against mine, and let him guide me up the 2 steps to where the officiant waits. The ceremony is traditional, the words ancient and weighty. I repeat my vows in a voice that doesn't shake, promising to love and honor and cherish a man I barely know. Dante's vows are delivered in a low, steady tone that sounds almost sincere. When the officiant declares us married and tells Dante he may kiss his bride, I tense. We haven't discussed this part, haven't practiced. It's just for show, I remind myself, just part of the performance. Dante's hands come up to frame my face, gentle despite their strength. He looks at me for one long moment, giving me time to pull away if I want to. Then his lips meet mine. The kiss is soft, chaste, appropriate for the audience watching. But there's something underneath it, some current of heat that makes my toes curl in my expensive heels. It lasts only seconds, but when he pulls back, my heart is racing. Applause erupts around us. Dante takes my hand and leads me back down the aisle. Now as his wife, as Mrs. Moretti, as a woman who just bound herself to a criminal for 2 years of her life. The reception is a blur of champagne I don't drink and food I can't taste and conversations with people whose names I forget immediately. Everyone congratulates us. Everyone comments on how beautiful we look together, how romantic it all is, how lucky I am. If they only knew. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Dante stays at my side through it all, his hand at the small of my back, his body language screaming possession and protection in equal measure. When men look at me too long, his grip tightens. When women simper at him, he barely acknowledges them. To everyone watching, we must look like a couple desperately in love. The irony would be funny if it didn't make my chest ache. You're doing well, he murmurs during a quiet moment between toasts. Very convincing. So are you, I reply, accepting another glass of champagne from a passing waiter just to have something to hold. I almost believe you're actually happy. His lips curve slightly. Who says I'm not? Before I can process that statement, we're swept into the first dance. The band, because of course there's a live band, plays something slow and romantic. Dante pulls me close, one hand at my waist, the other holding mine. We move together with surprising ease, as if we've done this 1,000 times before. You dance well, I observe, focusing on his shoulder rather than his face. My mother insisted on lessons when I was young. She believed dancing was a mark of civilization. There's dry amusement in his voice, though I'm not sure she'd apply that word to me now. I risk a glance up at him. What would she call you? Necessary. The word is heavy with meaning I don't fully understand. Powerful, dangerous. His hand presses more firmly against my back, pulling me incrementally closer. Everything she raised me to be and nothing she hoped I'd become. The confession surprises me. In the 3 weeks since our dinner, Dante has been unfailingly professional, revealing nothing of himself beyond what's required for this arrangement. This glimpse of something deeper, something wounded, catches me off guard. She's here, I point out. At your wedding. That has to mean something. It means she understands duty and family obligation. Same as you. The comparison stings because it's accurate. We're both here out of obligation, playing roles we didn't choose. The song ends, replaced by something more upbeat. Other couples join us on the dance floor, and the moment of unexpected intimacy breaks. Dante steps back, his expression shuddering closed again. I need to speak with some associates, he says. Mingle. Smile. Let them see you're happy. Then he's gone, moving through the crowd with the confidence of a man who owns every room he enters. I'm left standing alone on the edge of the dance floor in my beautiful dress, wearing a ring that cost more than my education, bound to a man I don't understand. The rest of the reception passes in a haze. I smile until my face hurts. I accept congratulations from strangers. I pretend this is the happiest day of my life when really, it feels like the day I signed away my freedom. By the time the last guest leaves and the staff begins cleaning up, I'm exhausted to my bones. Mama hugged me goodbye hours ago, tears streaming down her face as she told me how proud she was, how happy Papa would be. The guilt of that lie sits heavy in my stomach. Come, Dante says, appearing beside me as the valet brings his car around. Not the town car with the driver, but a sleek black sports car that probably costs more than most people's houses. It's late. You should rest. I follow him to the car, too tired to argue, too overwhelmed to process that this is it. The arrangement is official. I'm married to Dante Moretti, and tonight, I'll sleep under his roof for the first time as his wife. The drive to the villa is quiet. Dante's hands are steady on the wheel, his eyes on the road. I lean my head against the cool window and watch Rome slide by ancient buildings and modern construction existing side by side, beauty and decay in equal measure. You held up well today, Dante says, breaking the silence. Better than I expected. What did you expect? That I'd run screaming? Some women might have. He glances at me briefly before returning his attention to the road. This life isn't for everyone. This life. I repeat. You mean being married to a criminal? I mean being married to me. There's no defensiveness in his tone, just simple fact. Criminal is just one facet. There are others that are less pleasant. I should probably be frightened by this admission. Instead, I find myself curious. Like what? Long hours. Unpredictable schedules. Danger, sometimes. Though I'll do everything in my power to keep you separate from that. He downshifts as we take a turn, the engine purring. Loneliness. I'm not good at the domestic parts of life, Isabella. I won't pretend otherwise. It's just 2 years, I say, though I'm not sure if I'm reminding him or myself. We can manage anything for 2 years. He doesn't respond, and I take his silence as agreement. At the villa, staff appear to take our things, to offer refreshments, to hover with the nervous energy of people trying to anticipate needs before they're expressed. Dante dismisses them with a few quiet words in Italian, and suddenly we're alone in the vast foyer. Your things were moved to your suite this morning, he says, loosening his bow tie. The gesture is casual, intimate in a way that makes my breath catch. Everything should be arranged to your liking, but if you need anything changed, tell Maria. She's the house manager. Okay. I clutch my small evening bag, suddenly unsure what to do with my hands. I should probably go upstairs. It's been a long day. Isabella. He stops me before I can flee. We should discuss expectations. My stomach clenches. What kind of expectations? The practical kind. He moves closer, and I catch the scent of his cologne, something expensive and woodsy that I've come to associate with him. You have full run of the house and grounds. The staff has been instructed to accommodate any request within reason. You're free to come and go as you please, though I'd appreciate notice if you plan to be out late. This sounds more like a roommate situation than a marriage. In many ways, that's what this is. His eyes hold mine. But in public, we're a devoted couple. That means attending events together, showing appropriate affection, maintaining the illusion. And in private, something dark flickers in his gaze. In private, we're whatever we agree to be. He reaches up and tucks a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture surprisingly gentle. I meant what I said at dinner, Isabella. I won't force you into anything you don't want. Your body is your own. This arrangement doesn't give me rights to it. The declaration should bring relief. Instead, I feel oddly disappointed, though I refuse to examine why. Thank you, I manage, for being clear about that. He nods and steps back, breaking the spell. Good night, Mrs. Moretti. The name sounds strange, surreal, but I'm too tired to process it, too overwhelmed by everything that's happened today. Good night, I whisper, then flee up the stairs to my suite, to the safety of a locked door between me and my new husband. The next morning, I wake to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and a moment of complete disorientation before memory crashes back. I'm married. I'm in Dante's villa. I'm Mrs. Moretti now, for better or worse. I force myself out of the enormous bed and into the shower, letting hot water wash away the fog of sleep. When I emerge, wrapped in a towel that costs more than my previous monthly rent, I find clothes laid out on the bed, designer jeans, a cashmere sweater, expensive leather boots. A note sits beside them in masculine handwriting. Breakfast is at 9 if you'd like to join me. D. I check the clock. 8:30. Barely enough time to dress and make myself presentable. Downstairs, I follow the sound of low voices to a sun-filled breakfast room I didn't see during my previous visit. Dante sits at the head of a long table, reading a newspaper and drinking espresso. He's dressed casually in dark slacks and a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up, looking unfairly attractive for someone who probably got as little sleep as I did. He looks up as I enter, his eyes sweeping over me with an assessment that makes me self-conscious. Good morning. I hope you slept well. Well enough. I slide into a chair 2 seats away from him, not quite ready for proximity. The bed is very comfortable. Good. He sets down his newspaper and gestures to the spread of food on the sideboard pastries. Fruit, yogurt, eggs, bacon. Help yourself to whatever you'd like. I fill a plate with more food than I can probably eat, just to have something to do with my hands. The silence stretches between us. Not quite comfortable, but not hostile either. I have a meeting in the city this afternoon, Dante says after a moment. Business that can't be postponed. But tonight, we've been invited to dinner at the Rossi estate. Antonio and Carlotta, they're old family friends. I'd like you to accompany me. And so it begins. The social obligations, the performance. What should I wear? Something elegant but not too formal. The dress in your closet, dark green, knee-length. That would be appropriate. He pauses. Unless you'd prefer to choose something else. The fact that he's already planned my outfit should annoy me. Instead, I find myself oddly touched that he's put thought into it. The green dress is fine. We eat in silence for a while. I pick at my food while Dante reads updates on his phone, occasionally typing responses with quick, efficient movements. It's domestic in a strange way, this quiet breakfast together, and I can almost pretend we're a normal couple if I ignore the massive villa and the security cameras and the fact that this is all a transaction. Isabella, Dante says suddenly, setting down his phone. I know this isn't what you would have chosen for yourself, but I want you to know that I'll do everything in my power to make it bearable. You'll want for nothing. You'll be protected. And when our 2 years are complete, you'll have the resources to build whatever life you choose. It's the most he's said about the arrangement since that first dinner, and the sincerity in his voice catches me off guard. Why me? I ask again, the question that's haunted me for weeks. There must have been easier ways to acquire a wife. He's quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. Your father was a good man, Isabella. One of the few truly good men I've known. When he came to me for help, desperate to save his restaurant, I saw something in him that's rare in my world: integrity. Honor. Dante's expression softens almost imperceptibly. He spoke of you constantly. His brilliant daughter studying art history. His greatest pride. He made me promise that if anything happened to him, I would ensure you were cared for. My throat tightens. I didn't know. He didn't want you to know. He didn't want you to know about the loan or the men he'd had to turn to for help. He wanted you to remember him as strong, not desperate. Dante leans back in his chair. When he died, I could have collected from your mother, could have taken everything she had left. But I remembered that promise. And when I needed a wife for business reasons, I saw an opportunity to honor your father's memory while solving my own problem. What business reasons? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. There are people in my organization who question my commitment, my ability to build something lasting. His jaw tightens. A wife provides stability, respectability. It signals that I'm thinking long-term, not just about the next deal. So I'm a prop. A symbol of his legitimacy in a world where legitimacy is bought and sold like any other commodity. I see, I say quietly. Do you? He stands abruptly, moving around the table to stand beside my chair. Because I'm not sure I do anymore. Before I can ask what he means, he's gone, leaving me alone with my cooling breakfast and more questions than answers. The dinner at the Rossi estate sets the pattern for the next 6 months. We attend parties where I wear designer dresses and smile until my face aches. We host dinners where I play the gracious hostess while dangerous men discuss business in coded language. We appear at charity galas and art openings and society events, Dante's hand always at my waist, his body language screaming possession. And slowly, imperceptibly, the lines between performance and reality begin to blur. It starts small, Dante asking about my day over breakfast, actually listening to my answers, me noticing he takes his coffee black with 1 sugar, that he reads the financial papers before anything else, that he has a tell. When he's angry, his jaw clenches just slightly on the left side. It escalates. His hand finding mine under the table at dinner parties, not for show but for comfort. Me waiting up when he has late meetings, unable to sleep until I hear his car in the drive. Conversations that stretch past midnight about everything and nothing, his childhood in Sicily. My dreams of becoming a curator, the books we love, the places we want to see. 3 months into our arrangement, everything changes on a Tuesday. I'm in the villa's library, a room I've claimed as my own, filled with first editions and rare manuscripts that make my art history heart sing when Dante appears in the doorway. It's barely past noon, hours earlier than he usually returns from the city. We need to talk, he says, his expression grim. My stomach drops. Those 4 words never precede anything good. What's wrong? He closes the door behind him, a gesture that immediately puts me on edge. Whatever this is, it's serious enough to require privacy even in his own home. There's been a development, a complication. He moves to the window, his back to me, tension radiating from every line of his body. Antonio Ferrero, one of my competitors, has made a move against me. He's trying to undermine my position, turn my allies against me. I set down my book, my pulse quickening. What does that have to do with me? Everything. He turns to face me, and I see something in his eyes I've never seen before: fear. He knows about our arrangement, Isabella. He knows this marriage isn't real. The words hit like a physical blow. How? Does it matter? His voice is harsh, angry, though I sense the anger isn't directed at me. He has proof, documentation, witnesses, something. And he's threatening to expose it unless I cede him territory in Naples. I stand on shaky legs, my mind racing. What happens if he exposes us? I lose credibility, respect, power. Dante's hands clench into fists. Everything I've built over the past decade crumbles because I'll look weak, dishonest, like a man who had to buy a wife because he couldn't earn one legitimately. The irony would be funny if the stakes weren't so high. So we give him Naples, I say, though I have no idea what that actually means in practical terms. No, the word is absolute. I don't negotiate with men like Ferrero. I don't show weakness. He crosses to me, taking my shoulders in his hands. But I need to know you're with me on this, that you'll stand beside me when this gets ugly. Of course, I say automatically, though my heart is pounding. That's what I agreed to. Something flickers across his face, disappointment maybe, or hurt, but it's gone before I can identify it. Right, he says quietly, releasing me. The agreement. He leaves without another word, and I sink back into my chair, my hands trembling. Over the next weeks, the tension in the villa becomes palpable. Dante works longer hours, comes home later, speaks in clipped sentences when he speaks at all. Meetings happen at odd hours, men arriving in the middle of the night, their voices carrying up from his study in angry bursts of Italian too rapid for me to follow. I try to give him space while simultaneously wanting to demand answers. What's happening? How bad is it? What does Ferrero want beyond Naples? The answers come during a charity gala in early April, 6 months into our marriage. We're at the National Gallery, surrounded by Rome's elite, when I see him, Antonio Ferrero, standing near a Caravaggio with a beautiful woman on his arm and a predatory smile on his face. He's watching us, waiting. Dante, I murmur, my hand tightening on his arm. He's here. I know. Dante's voice is calm, but I feel the tension in his body. Stay close to me. Ferrero approaches with the confidence of a man who holds all the cards. He's older than Dante, maybe 50, with silver hair and a face that would be handsome if not for the cruelty in his eyes. Moretti, he says warmly, extending his hand as if they're old friends. And the lovely Mrs. Moretti. How beautiful you look tonight, Isabella. The use of my first name is deliberate, proprietary, designed to unsettle. It works. Ferrero, Dante replies, his tone neutral as he shakes the offered hand. I didn't realize you were on the guest list. Last-minute addition. I do so love art. Ferrero's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Though not as much as I love truth. Authenticity, real beauty, not manufactured illusions. The threat is barely veiled. Dante's hand finds the small of my back, pressing firmly a signal, though I'm not sure of what. Indeed, Dante says smoothly, though I find that truth is often subjective. What appears real to one person might be theater to another. An interesting philosophy. Ferrero's gaze slides to me. What do you think, Isabella? Can arranged marriages become real? Or are they always just elaborate performances? The question is a trap, and I know it. Whatever I say will be used against us. But then I look at Dante, at the man I've spent 6 months living with, eating breakfast with, talking to until sunrise. The man who remembers I take my coffee with cream and too much sugar. Who bought a first edition of my favorite book just to see me smile. Who looks at me sometimes like I'm the most precious thing in his dangerous world. And I realize with startling clarity that I'm not performing anymore. Haven't been for months. I think, I say carefully, meeting Ferrero's eyes, that love grows in unexpected places. That what starts as arrangement can become something deeper, truer, than marriages that begin with passion alone. Dante's hand tightens on my back, and I feel him tense beside me. Ferrero's smile sharpens. How romantic. I hope you feel the same way when you learn what your husband has really been doing these past 6 months. He leans closer, his voice dropping. Ask him about the shipments from Morocco, about the warehouse in Ostia, about who really benefits from your father's restaurant property now that it's been sold. Ice floods my veins. What are you talking about? Nothing that concerns you, Dante says sharply, but Ferrero laughs. Oh, but it does concern her. That property sold for 3 million euros, well above market value. And the buyer? A shell company owned by Dante Moretti. He watches my face, savoring my shock. He's been laundering money through your father's legacy, Isabella, using your grief, your desperation, to legitimize his criminal enterprises. The words hit like bullets. I turn to Dante, searching his face for denial, for explanation, for anything that would make this not true. But I find only grim acceptance. We should go, Dante says quietly, taking my elbow. I pull away from him. Is it true, Isabella? Is it true? My voice rises, drawing stares from nearby guests. We can discuss this at home, he says. His tone commanding, the voice he uses with his men, not with me. But I'm done being managed, manipulated, controlled. I want to discuss it now. Tears burn behind my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. Not here, not in front of Ferrero's triumphant smile. Did you buy my father's restaurant to launder money? Dante's jaw clenches. It's more complicated than that. That's not an answer. The answer, he says, his voice low and dangerous, is yes. I bought the property. Yes. I'm using it for business purposes. But the money that went to your mother, that was legitimate. Clean. Everything I promised you has been honored, Isabella. Except the truth. I'm shaking now, fury and betrayal warring inside me. You've been using my father's memory, his life's work, to legitimize your criminal empire. I've been building something. Dante corrects, his eyes flashing. Something that will outlast both of us. Your father understood that. Don't. I cut him off, my voice breaking. Don't you dare tell me what my father understood. He would be horrified by what you've done. The words hang between us, sharp and cutting. For a moment, Dante looks like I've physically struck him. Then his expression hardens, that cold mask sliding into place. "You're right," he says quietly. "He probably would be, just like you are." He glances at Ferrero, who's watching our confrontation with obvious delight. "Excuse us." He walks away, leaving me standing in the middle of the gallery with tears streaming down my face and the weight of 6 months of lies crushing my chest. I don't go home that night. Instead, I go to Mama's apartment, the small flat she was able to keep because I sold myself to the man who destroyed Papa's legacy. She takes one look at my face and pulls me inside, holding me while I cry like I haven't cried since Papa's funeral. I don't tell her everything, can't tell her about the arrangement, the contract, the lies we've been living, but I tell her enough. That Dante bought the restaurant, that he's using it for business I don't approve of, that I'm not sure I can stay married to him. "Bella," she says, stroking my hair like she did when I was a child. "Marriage is complicated. People make mistakes. But the question is, do you love him?" The question stops me cold. Do I love Dante Moretti? 6 months ago, the answer would have been an easy no. He was a transaction, a means to an end, a man I was bound to by contract and desperation. But now, after breakfast conversations and midnight talks, after watching him be gentle with his mother and ruthless with his enemies, after feeling the way he touches me like I'm something precious he's afraid of breaking, I don't know, I whisper. I don't know if what I feel is real or just Stockholm Syndrome or something. Mama makes a disapproving sound. "You always overthink, Piccolina. The heart knows what it knows. But what does my heart know? That Dante lied to me? That he used my father's memory for his own gain? Or that somewhere in the past 6 months, the lines between acting and feeling have blurred so completely I can't tell them apart anymore? I stay at Mama's for 3 days. Dante doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't send his men to drag me back. The silence is somehow worse than anger would be. On the 4th day, a package arrives. Inside is a plane ticket to New York, departing in 2 weeks, and a letter in Dante's handwriting. "Isabella, I've arranged for the full settlement to be transferred to your account, 1 million euros, as promised. The divorce papers will be delivered separately. You're free to go whenever you choose. I'm sorry for using your father's property the way I did. I'm sorry for many things, but I'm not sorry for the past 6 months. Whatever else was a lie, my feelings for you were real. Be happy, Isabella. You deserve it. D." I read the letter 3 times, my hands shaking, my heart breaking. He's letting me go. Just like that. Fulfilling the contract early, setting me free, walking away from whatever this thing between us has become. I should be relieved. This is what I wanted, isn't it? Freedom, the money to build the life I choose. Escape from a world of criminals and danger and moral compromise. So why does it feel like my heart is being ripped from my chest? "What are you going to do?" Mama asks, reading over my shoulder. I stare at the ticket. New York, a fresh start. Everything I thought I wanted. I don't know. I admit. But that's a lie. I do know. I've known since the moment I read his letter, since I felt the ache of his absence, since I realized that somewhere in the past 6 months, I fell in love with my husband. The question is, what am I going to do about it? I spend the next week trying to figure out what I want. I visit the restaurant property, the building that was Papa's dream, and is now part of Dante's empire. It's been renovated, turned into something upscale and elegant that Papa never could have afforded. There's a small plaque by the entrance, in memory of Giuseppe Romano, whose passion for food brought joy to all who knew him. Dante put that there. Honored Papa's memory even while using his property for less honorable purposes. I talk to Dante's mother, brave enough now to ask the questions I've been avoiding. She tells me about her son, brilliant, driven, ruthless when necessary, but capable of profound loyalty. She tells me about his father, who built an empire and destroyed himself in the process. She tells me that Dante has spent his whole life trying to build something different, something that lasts. "He loves you," she says simply, over espresso in her elegant apartment. "I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." "He lied to me," I counter. "Yes." She doesn't deny it. "Men like my son, they lie to protect what they love. It's not right, but it's who they are." Her eyes hold mine. "The question is whether you can love him anyway. Knowing what he is, knowing what he'll always be. Can I?" I think about Dante's hands, gentle when they touch me. His voice soft when he says my name. The way he listens when I talk about art, really listens, Like my opinions matter. The way he's honored every promise except the one about honesty. I think about a life in New York, safe and comfortable and utterly empty. I think about a life with Dante, dangerous and complicated, and full of a passion that terrifies me. My heart makes the choice before my head can talk me out of it. The wedding dress is a problem. I need to make a statement, need Dante to understand what I'm choosing, what I'm risking. So I go back to the villa using the key I never returned and retrieve my wedding dress from storage. The staff look at me like I've lost my mind as I carry it out to my car. Maybe I have. I put it on in Mama's apartment, the silk and lace transforming me back into a bride. Mama cries and doesn't ask questions, just helps me with the buttons I can't reach, and calls a car to take me to the airport. Because if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to choose Dante, choose this life, choose love over safety, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to meet him where I ran to, and I'm going to tell him I'm not running anymore. The information about Dante's travel plans comes from Maria, the house manager, who's been more friend than employee. He's flying to New York tonight, she tells me, business that can't be postponed. Or maybe he's running too. From me, from what we became, from feelings he doesn't know how to handle. I arrive at the airport at 11 p.m., my wedding dress drawing stares and whispers. I don't care. I scan the departures board, find his flight private terminal, of course, and make my way through the crowds. And then I see him. Dante Moretti, moving through Terminal A with his security detail, his phone to his ear, looking every inch the powerful criminal he is. My husband. The man I love. The man I'm choosing despite everything. But when his eyes meet mine across the terminal, when I see the shock and pain flash across his face, I realize I've made a terrible mistake. Because the look he gives me isn't relief or joy or even anger. It's devastation. And then he does the one thing I never expected. He turns around and walks away. Wait, I call out, my voice breaking. This time, I don't let him leave. I gather my dress and run, expensive silk and lace dragging across dirty airport floor, my heels clicking on linoleum. Security guards move to intercept me, but one sharp gesture from Dante stops them. He doesn't turn around, but he stops walking, waiting. I reach him breathless, tears streaming down my face, my carefully applied makeup probably ruined. Why? I demand. Why come here just to leave? He turns slowly, and the anguish in his eyes nearly brings me to my knees. Because you were right, Isabella. Your father would be horrified by what I've done, by what I am. His voice is rough, scraped raw. I came because I needed to see you one more time, to make sure you were really leaving, really choosing the life you deserve, instead of the one I trapped you in. Trapped? I shake my head. You gave me a ticket, gave me the money, gave me everything you promised. I gave you a cage made of gold and called it freedom. His hand comes up as if to touch my face, then drops. You deserve better than that, better than me. Don't I get to decide what I deserve? My hands fist in my dress, wrinkling the expensive silk. Don't I get to choose? You did choose. You ran. He gestures to my wedding dress, and something like torture crosses his face. Though I don't understand why you're wearing that. Because I'm an idiot, I say, half laughing, half crying. Because I thought God. I don't even know what I thought. That wearing this would somehow make you understand that I want to try again. That I want this marriage to be real. Dante goes very still. What are you saying? I'm saying I fell in love with you. The words tumble out in a rush. 6 months of denial and fear and confusion crystallizing into this one truth. Somewhere between breakfast conversations and midnight talks, between charity galas and quiet dinners, I fell in love with my husband. The real you, Dante. Not the criminal or the businessman or the man who keeps his promises. You, Isabella. His voice breaks on my name. I know you lied about the restaurant. I know you used Papa's property for your business, and I hate that. I step closer, close enough to smell his cologne, to see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. But I also know you honored his memory. You took care of Mama. You kept every promise you made to me, even the ones that cost you. I don't deserve you, he says roughly. Probably not. I manage a watery smile. But I don't care. I don't want the safe life in New York. I don't want to pretend the past 6 months didn't happen. I want you, Dante. All of you. The darkness and the danger and the moral compromises. I want our complicated, messy, imperfect marriage to become something real. For a long moment, he just stares at me. Then his control shatters. He closes the distance between us in 2 strides, his hands coming up to frame my face, his thumbs wiping away my tears. I love you, he says fiercely. I've loved you since you walked into that restaurant in your funeral dress and demanded conditions. I've loved you through every breakfast, every late-night conversation, every moment you've challenged me and made me want to be better than I am. You walked away, I whisper. At the villa, you just sent me a ticket and walked away, because I thought that's what you wanted, what you needed. His forehead presses against mine. I thought if I loved you enough, I had to let you go, give you the freedom to choose a life that wouldn't break your heart. The only thing breaking my heart was losing you. He kisses me then, there in the middle of the airport terminal with dozens of people watching, and it's nothing like our wedding kiss. This is desperate and claiming and full of 6 months of denied longing. This is real. When we finally break apart, both breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. Come home with me, he says. Not because of a contract or an arrangement, but because you want to. Because you choose this. Choose us. On one condition, I say, and he laughs, the sound warm and genuine. Name it. No more lies. No more using my father's memory without telling me. We're partners, Dante. Equal partners. Or we're nothing. Partners, he agrees, his eyes soft. In everything. Even the illegal things? I'll try to be less illegal if you'll try to be less judgmental about my methods. He's teasing now, some of the darkness lifting from his expression. I make no promises, I say primly, then ruin it by smiling. He scoops me up, wedding dress and all, ignoring my surprised squeak. Then I guess we'll have to negotiate the terms of our new arrangement. I thought we were done with arrangements. Never. We're just starting a new one. He carries me toward the exit, his security detail scrambling to follow. One that lasts longer than 2 years. How much longer? I ask, my arms around his neck. Forever, if you'll have me. Forever. With this dangerous, complicated, infuriating man who somehow became the center of my world. Forever works, I whisper against his neck. The restaurant opens on a Saturday in October, exactly 1 year after our wedding. It's called Giuseppe's, in honor of my father, and it's everything he would have wanted, warm and welcoming, filled with the scent of garlic and tomatoes and fresh bread. The menu features his recipes, prepared by a chef who trained under him years ago. Yes, it's still technically owned by Dante's shell company. Yes, it probably still serves purposes, beyond just feeding Rome's hungry masses. But it's also a tribute, a legacy, a way of honoring Papa's memory that feels right. I stand in the doorway on opening night, watching people file in, and feel Dante's arms slip around me from behind. He would have loved this, he murmurs against my hair. He would have loved that you're trying to be less criminal, I counter, leaning back against his chest. I'm not trying that hard, he admits, and I laugh. Over the past year, we've found our balance. Dante has slowly legitimized parts of his empire, though he'll never be completely clean. I've opened a small art gallery that showcases emerging Italian artists, funded by money I now know the full history of. We fight sometimes about his business, about my tendency to judge, about the fundamental differences in how we see the world. But we also talk, compromise, find middle ground between his darkness and my light. And at night, in the bedroom we now share because our arrangement evolved into something that required proximity. Intimacy, the kind of partnership that doesn't work across separate wings. We're just Dante and Isabella. Not criminal and curator, not captor and captive, not two people bound by contract. Just two people who chose each other despite every logical reason not to. Mrs. Moretti, Dante says, turning me in his arms. We should go inside. Our guests are waiting. In a minute. I rise on my toes to kiss him. This man who offered me a transaction and accidentally gave me love. I just want to remember this moment. We have a lifetime of moments ahead of us, he reminds me. I know. I smile against his lips. I'm counting on it. We walk into the restaurant together, hand in hand, partners in every sense of the word. The life we're building isn't perfect or safe or even entirely legal. But it's ours, and that's enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story. Cinematic HD photograph of a beautiful young woman in an elegant white wedding dress standing alone in a modern airport terminal, tears streaming down her face with mascara running, her expression heartbroken and devastated, the silk wedding gown with delicate lace details and long train pooling on the polished airport floor. Her dark hair styled in wedding curls with some strands falling loose. She's clutching a boarding pass in one trembling hand, while the other hand holds up her dress slightly. Bright fluorescent airport lighting illuminating the scene with crisp clarity. In the background, slightly out of focus, stands a handsome man in his mid-30s wearing an expensive charcoal suit with dark hair and strong jawline, looking at her with anguished expression. His posture tense as if he just stopped walking away. The modern airport terminal with departure boards and travelers visible in soft background blur. The lighting is natural and bright, with no warm tones or golden hour effects. Sharp focus on the bride's emotional face and pristine white dress contrasting against the sterile modern airport environment. Photorealistic style, 8K quality. Bright and clear lighting throughout. Dramatic emotional moment captured with documentary realism.